Everyone, my name is Tabitha Riggle, and I want to talk to you today about intercultural communication, which is communication between two people from different cultures. So during this presentation, I'm going to talk about when is intercultural communication necessary, areas where cultures differ, and steps for effective intercultural communication, and what we do with this information. So intercultural communication is necessary whenever we're communicating with someone from a culture different than our own. In 2011, Miller Coors sponsored the Puerto Rican Day Parade and decided the shown image would be a great advertisement for their brand. The advertisement says, "Emborriquate," which translates to "become Puerto Rican." However, Miller Coors did not know that this was a play on another Spanish word that means "become drunk." This led to people assuming Miller Coors was insinuating that all Puerto Ricans are drunks. This ad was pulled for that reason. So when a company or individual lacks knowledge and understanding about a culture they are communicating with, there's the large potential for offense and hurt to take place. So we didn't want to talk about areas where cultures differ. The first is high context and low context cultures. High context cultures such as China convey meaning not only through words, but through body language, tone of voice, and the history they have with the individual they are speaking to. A low context cultures such as the US rely less on context and more on explicit language and written contracts to ensure that everything is as clear as possible for all members. Next, we have individualism and collectivism. Individualistic cultures such as the United States are tuned more towards individual achievements and satisfaction while as a collectivist culture is more focused, such as China, is more focused on the well-being of the group or organization than an individual. The third area where cultures differ is power distance. So in high power distance cultures such as France, organizations are more focused on title and status, and there is a clear separation between superiors and subordinates. In these cultures, people tend to conduct business only with people of the same rank as themselves. In contrast, for low power distance cultures such as Canada, they value equality and collaboration less than title and status. So organizations in these cultures are generally more relaxed about roles within an organization. Next, we have uncertainty avoidance, which is whether someone is uncomfortable with uncertainty or comfortable with uncertainty. In cultures that are uncomfortable with uncertainty, they rely more on rituals, rules, and codes of conduct as a means to control the future and avoid uncertain outcomes. On the other end of the spectrum, cultures that are comfortable with uncertainty enjoy having a flexible work environment and taking risks and jump at the chance to discover something new. And last but not least, we have monochronic and polychronic cultures, which deals with time. In a monochronic culture such as the US, time is seen as very rigid and it can only be used one way, one time. And because of this, these cultures are focused more on punctuality and efficiency. In a polychronic culture such as Latin America, time is more relaxed and multitasking is more the norm, and building relationships is considered more important than keeping to a rigid schedule. Now that we know some differences, we should look at some steps for effective intercultural communication. Step one is to understand your culture. When we understand the unique things in our culture, we can better understand that other cultures also have unique aspects, and we can learn to respect those aspects of those cultures more. Step two is to be aware of cultural differences and understand that just because someone from a different culture does something different than you do doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that they're from a different culture and have different customs. The third thing we need to do is we need to learn to read and understand nonverbal cues such as body language and facial expressions. By really tuning into someone's nonverbal cues, we can really understand what they're trying to say. Some cultures focus way more on the nonverbal cues than other cultures. And step four is to be curious, listen, and observe people from other cultures because it will tell you a lot about how they view respect, and then you can mimic their actions back to them to be respectful of them. The last thing is to keep things simple, avoid slang words, abbreviations, acronyms, or difficult idioms, because sometimes just a simple yes or no is easier to understand than trying to explain a lot of things. Now that we have all this information, we need to ask, what do we do now? My idea is to challenge you to think of someone in your life that is from a different culture than you are and reach out to them and get to know them and their culture better. So hopefully you'll be able to do that this week. If you have any questions for me, put them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. Hope y'all all have a great day.